Welcome to New Zealand, where the pristine beauty of the land of the long white cloud hides a darker, more complex reality. You see, beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic paradise, there are unsettling truths that you won't find in travel brochures. 5G towers are rising across the nation, promising faster internet speeds, but also fueling fears and controversies. Are they harbingers of progress or potential health hazards? The debate rages on. Meanwhile, gang numbers are climbing, and with them, an increase in violence and illegal activities. But it's not just local gangs causing concern. International cartels are making big money, exploiting the nation's borders and resources. And then there's the shadow of corruption. Whispers of backdoor deals and political favors cast a dark cloud over the nation's governance. Are the elites buying and building their way into power, shaping New Zealand's future to suit their own agendas? The dichotomy is stark. On one hand, New Zealand is a beacon of natural beauty and innovative spirit. On the other, it's a land grappling with complex social and ethical issues that challenge its very fabric. So as we journey through this tale, remember that every paradise has its shadows. And sometimes the shadows reveal more about a place than the sunlight ever could. The land of the long white cloud, or the laboratory, New Zealand, land of stunning landscapes, hobbits and social experiments. It sounds crazy, right? But stick with me. This island nation, often seen as a remote paradise, has a history of trying out policies and programs that raise eyebrows, and sometimes serious ethical questions. From controversial medical studies to radical social reforms, New Zealand has become a fascinating and perhaps unsettling case study. Is it a testing ground for the rest of the world? And if so, who's really benefiting? Let's dive in. We're not talking about harmless A/B testing for website layouts here. We're talking about things that impact people's lives in fundamental ways, their health, their finances, their very freedoms. So buckle up, because things are about to get a little uncomfortable. A controversial history from medical mishaps to social experiments. New Zealand's track record isn't exactly spotless. Remember the unfortunate experiment? Yeah, not exactly their finest hour. From 1966 to 1987, at National Women's Hospital in Auckland, doctors withheld treatment from women with cervical cancer. Their goal? To study the natural progression of the disease. The result? Needless suffering and death. This horrific episode led to major reforms, but it left a permanent stain on the country's reputation. But it's not just medical mishaps. In 2016, Auckland police staged an experiment where an actor pretended to be homeless. Hundreds of people walked by, ignoring him. This was part of a recruitment campaign for empathetic police officers. Clever, maybe. Manipulative, definitely. It's this kind of social engineering that makes you wonder what else is going on down under. Taxes, drugs and housing. Are Kiwis guinea pigs? Now let's talk about some of the more recent experiments happening in New Zealand. Take taxes, for example. The government has slapped hefty taxes on cigarettes with the goal of reducing smoking rates. On the surface, it seems like a good idea, but is it fair to punish smokers, often from lower socio-economic backgrounds, with these taxes? And what about the potential black market for cheaper cigarettes? Then there's the issue of drug policy. New Zealand has been experimenting with decriminalisation and harm reduction strategies. They've even looked into the potential of synthetic drugs. While some applaud these progressive approaches, others worry about the unintended consequences. Is New Zealand becoming a haven for drug tourism? And are these policies truly effective in addressing the root causes of addiction? Housing is another area where New Zealand is trying out some unconventional ideas. From tiny homes to co-living spaces, the government is exploring alternative housing models to address affordability issues. But are these solutions sustainable in the long run? And what about the potential impact on community dynamics? The COVID-19 case study, a world apart? COVID-19. Remember that? New Zealand's response to the pandemic was, well, let's just say it was unique. They went into a strict lockdown, closed their borders, and implemented a zero COVID strategy. For a while, it seemed like they'd eradicated the virus, but at what cost? The economic and social consequences were significant. Businesses shut down, tourism dried up, and people were separated from loved ones for months on end. Was it all worth it? The jury's still out on that one. But one thing's for sure. New Zealand's COVID-19 response was a global experiment, with the world watching closely and debating the merits of their approach. Section 5, the economic fallout, booms, busts, and uncertain futures. Okay, let's talk money. Some of these experiments have had a positive impact on the economy. The tourism industry pre-COVID was booming, thanks in part to New Zealand's image as a progressive paradise. And the tech sector has seen significant growth, attracting talent from around the world. But it's not all sunshine and roses. The cost of living in New Zealand has skyrocketed, making it difficult for many Kiwis to make ends meet, and the gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen. Is this the price of progress, or are these experiments exacerbating existing inequalities? Section 6. Social fabric under strain, unity or division. New Zealand is often praised for its social cohesion and sense of community, but have these experiments put a strain on that social fabric? The COVID-19 lockdowns, while necessary from a public health perspective, led to social isolation and mental health challenges for many, and the debate over vaccine mandates has divided families and communities. Then there's the issue of cultural identity. As New Zealand becomes more diverse, how do these experiments impact the country's unique cultural heritage? Are they strengthening national unity, or are they creating new divisions? Section 7. Transparency and consent. Where's the informed part? Here's the thing about experiments. They require informed consent. But how much do everyday New Zealanders know about these experiments being conducted on them? Are they being fully informed about the potential risks and benefits? Or are they unwitting participants in a grand social science project? The government argues that it's acting in the best interests of its citizens, but is that enough? In a democracy, people have the right to know what's being done in their name. They have the right to question, to dissent, and to hold their leaders accountable. Section 8, global implications, lessons from the little guy. So what can the rest of the world learn from New Zealand's experience? Well, for one, that even in a seemingly idyllic corner of the world, things aren't always what they seem. New Zealand's story is a cautionary tale about the potential pitfalls of unchecked experimentation. But it's also a reminder that innovation and experimentation are essential for progress. The key is to find a balance between pushing boundaries and protecting the rights and well-being of citizens. And that requires open dialogue, transparency, and a healthy dose of skepticism, like subscribe and comment on your thoughts. Section 9. Conclusion. Paradise found. Or cautionary tale. So, is New Zealand a playground for social experiments? The answer, as with most things in life, is complicated. There's no doubt that New Zealand has a history of trying out bold and unconventional ideas. And there's no denying that some of these experiments have had positive outcomes, but there have also been missteps, unintended consequences, and legitimate ethical concerns. The real question is, at what cost, and who gets to decide? Ultimately, it's up to the people of New Zealand to decide what kind of future they want to create. And for the rest of us, their story serves as a valuable reminder to approach grand experiments with both curiosity and caution.